Hello everyone and welcome back to Sea Turtle Cove, our special quest zone where you guys have been helping from the very beginning to clean up this beach and to take care of all of the animals that are here, and we're slowly but surely working on getting towards our goal of being able to start adding in sea turtles and eventually breed up 100 baby sea turtles. The grebe is now pregnant! That's so exciting, you guys! That is so exciting! Oh my goodness! So even if we don't have any sea turtles just yet, we do have some very happy grebes, and they are wandering around apparently getting ready to lay eggs and have babies. That is going to be amazing, and we will be able to hire a biologist at some point today to be able to keep track of them and to clean up after them and to make sure that there's plenty of insects. Oh gosh, there's bird poop all over the place, and to make sure that there's going to be plenty of insects inside of the little piles of logs, all the rotting logs that they have, just to make sure everything is pretty balanced. Oh my goodness, another grebe is pregnant. That is so exciting. But yes, so looks like the night is setting. This is wonderful. I'm glad we don't have too many lights up along our cove, because that's going to be very important for when we actually start adding sea turtles in. And remember, when we start adding in fish or sea turtles or sharks or manta rays or any of those things are completely in your guys' hands based off of the straw poll linked in the video description below. So every single time we come to Sea Turtle Cove, you can help us decide if we should take care of the birds first, if we should add in more of the seaweed first. Oh gosh, and there's been awesome developments with the seaweed too. I'll have to show you guys in a little bit, but you'll help determine if that's something we should do, or if we should maybe put some research into taking care of the guests and adding in more bathrooms because the guests are really having a hard time, or if we should get a lifeguard because it looks like once again a small child has somehow managed to get into the water. Child, I know we don't have anything yet, but we may have sharks soon, and I don't want to have some sort of horrible news headline, Sea Turtle Cove closed down forever because small child won't get out of shark infested water. Look at her dog paddling. Oh my gosh, what are you doing here? Get out of here, child. Get out of here. We would be able to get her out of the water if we had a lifeguard, but we don't have a lifeguard just yet because that's not something you guys have picked. And what you guys did pick though has really helped to transform our entire park, because you picked to add a maintenance worker. So we shouldn't ever again, unless it's some sort of horrible occasion, end up with all of that trash on the beach. And that's really important because even the tiniest amount of trash could threaten the lives of the animals who live here. If you guys haven't seen those pictures, they're really depressingly sad, but very important to look at pictures of albatross chicks or seabird chicks. Some seabird colonies actually have 90% mortality on their babies. That means 90% of their babies, 9 out of 10, die because they ingest too much plastic that their parents inadvertently collect when they're trying to hunt out at sea, because all those little shards of colorful plastic look just like the teensy tiny little fish that they need to bring back to their babies, and they feed it to their babies and their babies die. So those tiny shards of plastic can and do end up every single day killing a whole bunch of seabirds, shorebirds, there we go, sea shorebirds, and we don't have to worry about that too much here because we are going to have a maintenance worker now. We'll hire them in just a moment. We need to go check on our long-tailed ground rollers. We need to make sure that they're doing okay. All right, so they're having some trouble finding food. And they have the logs, so they should be able to eat from them. Hello! Oh, these are the ivory-billed woodpeckers, which we're just going to say are some other type of woodpecker. All right, so we can come over here and kind of help them out a little bit. Really hungry. Oh, geez, Louise, why? Are you stuck somewhere? It's already laid an egg. Okay, because we have hired a biologist, or we're going to hire biologists today, as I mentioned, and maintenance workers, we actually can come back here and kind of see what on earth is going on. These guys should have plenty of food. Are you just too far away? What do you eat, my friends? So let's look at what the long-tailed ground roller, which is just going to be one of the random species of birds that has made its home over here. They hollow logs with insects, and there's quite a few hollow logs with worms and hollow logs with insects over here. So we can drag this log because it arrived here from when we had that storm. We can drag this log over here. And let's see if we can pick you up. So are you just lost back here? Can you eat these worms? Is that a thing you can do, my friend? Because this is just kind of moving. Yeah! All right. Look at that. It's getting some food, so we're not going to lose them. All right, you guys. So we just, oh no, another crested grebes is pregnant. Oh, I feel so happy. we can't usually like come in here and just put down a whole bunch of random items, because that's not the way this works. It's not like when we usually are working in Zoo Tycoon 2. We have to work with what the ecosystem produces and what you guys help to spend our research money on, because we do have limited funds, just like people who try to take care of these areas in real life have to deal with. And you guys are helping to manage our resources. All right, and speaking of managing resources, the vote last time was to keep our beaches pristine and extremely clean and remove all of those itty-bitty little teensy pieces of... Oh, why are you really thirsty? Like, that shouldn't be a thing that happens. There's a bunch of water right here. You are literally the only thirsty grebe here. So, alright, it's just a pregnant, cranky, thirsty grebe. It's working its way down to get some water. We shouldn't have to worry about it. And we're going to have some eggs laid soon. Okay, but anyway, yeah, all of those little tiny plastic pieces of plastic and all of the overflowing abundance of trash is now going to be cleaned up by our new maintenance workers. So, you guys left 500 likes last time, which means we can hire 5 people. And the 2 top winning votes were maintenance workers and biologists. So we can hire 3 maintenance workers, and that will keep, I decided we'll do 3 because the majority vote was for maintenance workers. So now they can keep all of the trash picked up. They can start cleaning up. Look at all this filthy trash. People here are just absolutely filthy. We've just been running up and down the beach for like half a day and they've already made this huge mess. So the maintenance workers are going to help clean all of this up, and we can hire 2 biologists. So 2 shore biologists to be able to help us take care of the animals here. So this is biologist peoples. And then we have a biologist over here, biologist Ilano, or Ilio. Let's see. There we go. So these are the 2 people that we have hired, and what they're able to do is they're going to go all over the place, and they're going to be able to keep an eye on all of the food sources and clean up all of the poop as specimen samples that the birds of our like park or that like everybody has here. And that's really good, because if some of these things ran out, if we didn't have biologists, then they would be removed, and then the animals would leave. If the shorebirds don't have any insects, then they'll leave. But our biologists will hopefully dive in and be able to help keep everything. Wow, they're really splashing over there. I wonder if we can catch up with them if we try. Let's paddle faster! Paddle faster! But these biologists, who apparently are like marathon swimmers, look at them go. This is hilarious. We'll hopefully be able to keep the food sources in place for our animals. If a food source runs out, we have to remove it. And if that happened to like all of our seaweed, for instance, because we added in too many animals at one time who eat seaweed before letting the seaweed spread, then the seaweed like population would disappear. However, if the seaweed population or the insect population is not eaten at the end of the day, the next time we come back for the next episode, it will spread. So if our seaweed population over here, and we'll go follow the biologists really quickly. We hired 2 of them because you guys left 500 likes, which means 5 people. 1 or 3 of those, majority win, were the maintenance workers, and 2 were the biologists. So we could hire more biologists if you think it would be useful. Oh my gosh. I wanna, oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. Oh my goodness. And if we have a healthy bird population and a healthy egg population, we might attract other kinds of animals who may come to try to eat the birds too, or just live in harmony with the birds depending on what kind of species it is. So that'll be really fun as well. But anyway, like I was saying, that's why we have 2 biologists, because of your guys' support. And as usual, whatever you do, we'll clean up that poop sample as well and take it back to the lab. Whatever you leave in terms of voting, the top 2 items will be picked, and then how many items we use from each of those, there's more poop samples, will be based off of the likes left behind, just because it's the easiest, cleanest, clearest way to be able to interact with our community that way. We should have lots and lots of bird eggs pretty soon, so that's awesome. And then if it reaches the end of every day when we're here together, so you know how the ecology will be a living system, let's dive into the water, that grows and spreads. Oh, looks like we still have some jellyfish, which, you know, there are indeed some creatures that eat jellyfish. So if our jellyfish stick around, then their numbers might start multiplying, and that could support anybody who eats jellyfish. And if it reaches the end of the day and we're all here together and our seaweed, oh geez, okay, I don't want to get stung. Let's keep moving. I know our seaweed population, our little clusters of seaweed that we planted, because that's what you guys voted on last time too. Oh, look, there's little fish now. It looks like tiny little fish are starting to show up. Just a couple of them, just a couple here and there. But tiny little fish are starting to show up now because the seaweed is here. And look, it's starting to spread. So every day when the seaweed is still full and it's still here will be the day when the seaweed little kelp gardens get to spread. So when the kelp forest spreads, and then eventually there'll be more edible seaweed that animals who eat seaweed can eat. But if an animal, or we add in way too many animals who eat seaweed, eats all of the edible seaweed right in the middle of the little pile here, by the end of the day, then all of this spot would die off. And so there's something to remember. Every time one of the food sources is completely eliminated before the biologist can get to it, then we would lose that entire food source. And that means that any animals depending on that food source might die off as well. However, if the food source isn't eliminated, there's a good chance that it would actually spread. So our little kelp forest would spread as long as we don't have anything that would eat all of the seaweed at once. Or we might even attract new animals that you guys wouldn't have to spend research money on and have them show up too. So it's kind of a living system is what I'm trying to explain. It's a living system and you guys are the ones who get to determine how it works. Also, we have a beach jellyfish, and now that we have... No, you're okay. Get back in the water there, buddy. Now that we have some biologists, I'm also allowed to gently move things around like that. We just can't add anything in unless it's based off of your guys' votes or off of events that have happened in our living system. So I really love that. All right, so let's pop over and check on what our people are up to. Oh my goodness, look at this. Our biologists are working so hard. They're just all over the place. And the grebes. This is so cool. We should see. The guests are starving, by the way. And that does affect our ratings. And they're starting to wander around the place. And without a lifeguard, we can't escort her back to where she needs to be. They're also really bored. They have nothing to be able to view. They're sort of stuck clustered in this area. Because of the regulations for our Sea Turtle Cove, we right now do not allow them to splash in the water. We could vote on opening up like a little splash zone for them, or we could vote on adding in some educational and interactive spots for them. We could vote on adding in some food items for the guests or more seating. There's all sorts of options for our overcrowded beaches that will be coming up and will totally be in your guys' hands. And I can't move them, and they're all starving, but I can't move them unless we have a lifeguard. So that's kind of the thing. But there we go, you guys. So you guys have seen we have a thriving shorebird population. It looks like they're doing very well, and that means we might see some animals who would either live with shorebirds or eat shorebirds showing up. Our seaweed population is still there because we don't really have anything that would eat seaweed right now. There's not enough places for guests to sit over here, so they're a little cranky. Well, let's go watch it lay an egg. And there are eggs being laid. Oh my goodness, are you just gonna like strut right over here and lay a little egg? There are eggs being laid by our shorebirds that the biologists are reporting back to us, which means that this population is doing pretty darn good. Oh wow, look at all the cars over there. Well, it's a good thing our shorebirds aren't over there. People driving on beaches is actually one of the biggest problems with sand plover and other shorebird populations suffering, because they lay their eggs just directly onto the sand. And you often don't see oh my gosh, they're so cute. You often don't see sand plover eggs until it's too late and you've stepped on it. And they're also very easy to often startle away from their nest. And it's a recipe for disaster. But the basic, here we go. Oh my goodness. Look at the little egg. Look at the tiny little egg. I am in love right now. Look how small that is, you guys. It's just so tiny. Oh my goodness. Just the teensiest, tiniest little shorebird egg. Oh gosh, I am so happy. And one just hatched. Oh my gosh, and it's coming out to already look for some food. Oh my goodness, we can do a quick check. Oh, we can do a check on this one. Is that the one? Is that the one that just hatched? All right, we've got to come out and see if we can find it. I think it's headed for these insects. It's just like in real life. If you want to see the animals, you just have to perch where they normally would come to eat. Yeah, and the guests are still complaining, but we don't really have any animals that are in the water just yet. We have a couple fish that are starting to show up because of the seaweed. Oh, and then one of the biologists did report that there is... Oh, are you the baby? I don't think you're the baby. I'm pretty sure that's not the baby. Are you the baby? No way you're the baby. You're kind of big to be a baby. No. And you don't have anybody, you don't have a mate or anything. Where's the little baby? I want to look at the baby. And there you are, getting a little drink. You're still kind of big for a baby, but you're adorable. And look at him run along the beach. We might start seeing like crabs and things show up here. Oh gosh, he's just so cute. Yeah, we might start seeing crabs and other kinds of creatures show up. Look at them strut around looking for food. Oh my goodness, they're so cute. And we'll have to see if we get other shorebirds or creatures that would eat shorebirds. We do have a population of jellyfish that seems to have stopped dying off. Oh, and the biologist did report, and let me kick into the water so that we can go look at it, that there's actually little tiny patches of krill and plankton that are starting to show up over by the seaweed because they're here to eat the algae, they're here to eat the seaweed. So it's a living system, like I said, you guys, and it's going to be really fun to see how it continues to thrive based on what you choose. Don't sting me, jellyfish. Where the heck is our seaweed? Oh, there it is. Yeah, look. There it is, the krill, the tiny little krill. And there's quite a few things that would eat krill too. So in case you guys need a quick refresher, oh, look at all our grebes sleeping on the water. Isn't that just the best thing ever? Oh, I love that. That's so fun. In case you guys need a refresher on the kinds of things that you could expect to find, like in the coastal area or in the reef area, there's tons of fish. So there's lots and lots of fish that would show up if they had somewhere to hide. As you guys have noticed, we don't really have much of a reef system. So we don't really have rocks. We don't really have places for them to hide. So if we were going to invest in a reef system, we could get like coral formations. We would be able to put down all sorts of artificial reefs, artificial rocks that eventually might end up housing a whole bunch of things like zooplankton or aquatic insects or shellfish. Shellfish might start showing up if we choose to invest in doing reefs, or we could invest in more kelp forest if you want to do more aquatic plants, and that would help to sustain tons of creatures who might really be interested in seaweed. We might choose to just add in a random animal. You can look at the straw poll and see if there's a random animal that we might get a deal on if we add in for now. It is Shark Week, as some of you guys know, so if we added in a shark, there's an option. But the shark, what would they have to eat? So if we put in, not a nurse shark per se, or a whale shark, a white tip reef shark, what do they eat? Well, they do eat a little bit of the krill, shellfish, and then a lot of fish. But do we really have enough krill to support a white-tip reef shark? That's up for you guys to decide. Would that reef shark end up threatening our shorebird population or threatening our turtle population? That's up for you guys to decide. And then there's also the different species of turtle. So the flatback turtle is the one that does eat jellyfish, and it does eat shellfish, which if we had a reef system, we would be able to see shellfish start showing up. And it does eat some of the plankton, the little, or the, not plankton, excuse me, some of the itty bitty little, oh gosh, you're not zooplankton, you're a krill. There we go. It does eat like those tiny little guys. So if we put the flatback turtle in, it does have a few krill pieces to eat, but is that enough food to sustain itself? So that's a good question that we would have to think about. And then there's the olive ridley, and it does eat seaweed. So do we have enough seaweed to support a population? So that's another question you guys need to think about. There's zebra sharks. Oh gosh, they're so pretty. And zebra sharks eat squid, and squid we would really expect to show up once we got maybe some more food sources for the squid, like fish. So you have to think about the pyramid of food, the pyramid of predation, and where everybody's going to get their energy from. And if you want to add in something big and splashy and awesome like the zebra shark, what do you have to put lower down on the pyramid? And you're just going to vote on it, and then we'll see if it works or not. I'm putting it completely in your guys' hands. Hawkbill turtle, same thing. It eats seaweed. Do we have enough seaweed now to support the hawkbill turtle population? If our biologists get over and can help encourage the seaweed samples, then we may have enough seaweed now. And if they don't, then we may not. So there is that. And then there might be all sorts of other species that show up, but there's lots of fish, and we could spend some money adding in just fish and let the fish kind of propagate, and then hopefully eventually provide enough food for all the animals. So that's for our reef animals. There's all sorts of coastal animals, and there's also the guest. That is something to consider because we're losing stars, and we do need to gain stars to be able to complete this challenge. So there is that guest to consider. There's like winghead sharks. Oh gosh, all sorts of coastal animals that could get added in. Oh my goodness, I wonder what happened. Like the manatee could show up. You guys could vote on adding in some manatees. But what happens? They eat a lot. So what would happen to our seaweed population? Do you really think 5 little tiny patches of seaweed are enough to support manatees? It's all in your guys' hands. And you know, if we really get a lot of fish, then, or like a lot of shellfish, we might see some dolphins. dolphins come by. That's something that could happen. We might have some traveling dolphins. We might have some other animals. And so is jellyfish. So what could we do for the jellyfish, you guys may ask? Well, the jellyfish need more fish. And so what do fish need? Fish need food, usually in the form of either smaller fish or krill or seaweed, and fish need shelter in order to be added in. So you're talking rocks and coral reef formations. So there's all of that just to consider, and I'll continue putting the beach jellyfish back where they belong, because now that we have biologists, I can do that. If we had more biologists, then we could always maintain whatever food sources get added in. So there's lots to consider, you guys. Oh my goodness, so many choices. I always think there won't be so many choices, but it's a living system now. You can see how already there's a lot of bird poop over here. And maybe some of the food sources might begin to run a little bit low. We can kind of help out with that, but if it becomes completely empty, then that food source vanishes. So we have to move quickly, but having more biologists could help sustain all of the food sources and help to cure any of the animals that become sick in our entire cove. So lots of choices. Oh my goodness. Every time I'm just amazed at how organic and alive this place is, and that it's in your guys' hands. So I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.